My name is Lewis Boyden, and I've been coming to Relevant Church since day one. I'm usually on the other side of the camera. I serve in a digital communications role, and I also help lead youth alongside my wife. I first heard about Relevant Church through an invite from Pastor Muta. We were both in a young professionals network group here in Niles, and he was telling me about this vision that God had given him to plant a life-giving church, and he asked me to be a part of his launch team. He told me, if you just help out for 6 months, then you could return back to your church. But 4 or 5 years later, I'm still kicking. After that 6 months was up, I just felt like I found home at Relevant Church. It went from just helping to launch a church and help it get off the ground to being a place that I genuinely felt home. I started to love the people, love the culture, and I just couldn't picture myself worshiping anywhere else. Growing up in the church, I was always super involved, whether it was children's choir or Sunday school. I was always at every event. My dad was a deacon, mom a deaconess, so I pretty much, the church was my second home growing up. So then going off to college, doing my own thing, when I came back home, it was natural for me to just plug right back into church. But while I was going to church, I was still finding myself in those pitfalls of sin, drinking, partying, chasing after women, doing all those things that kind of kept me from building a closer relationship with God. While I was serving at Relevant Church, I was starting to notice like my heart being transformed, and how I was frustrated with falling back into sin, frustrated with the life that I was living, because I knew that I was putting on a fake front in one area while doing my own thing in another. So I found myself getting really stagnant in my faith, but really frustrated with the process, because I knew better. I knew that I wanted to continue growing my relationship with Christ, and I was getting frustrated with the fact that I was getting in my own way. Relevant Church helped me discover a new possible in my life just through the leadership here, the lead team here. Serving alongside Pastor Muta, just having him as a spiritual mentor has just been huge for me. I went through this period where I was struggling in my career, where I wasn't able to find a job, even though I was very qualified for a lot of positions and constantly in interviews. I just was never able to land a job in my career field. So I was kind of struggling in that area. And then Pastor Muta had challenged me, why don't you take a step away from applying for jobs in the marketplace for a little bit, for 1 year, and then focus on ministry for a year and see if that's the lane that God has for you. And that seems like an extreme challenge. That seems like an extreme step to take, but I had nothing to lose at that point, so I was willing to take on the challenge. And I've just seen God continue to blow my mind, and without a shadow of a doubt, I can tell you that I'm called to serve in ministry. As I continue to just serve at the church and tap into the leadership, I just found myself continuing to develop that hunger, that desire to learn more and more about Christ, and continue to be around people who were pushing me to be a better version of myself, pushing me to not settle for anything less than great. So I was just very thankful for my relationships that I was building at Relevant Church. I'm so excited about a new possible, because I know that there are other people out there like myself, people who aren't feeling satisfied in all the things that society tells you you're supposed to feel fulfillment in, whether that's your career, whether that's relationships, money, all those things that the world tells you you're supposed to feel excited about and feel happy because of. You may not feel that same sort of satisfaction from that. And I just know that God has a new possible for your life. And I invite you to check out Relevant Church. I've seen firsthand, I've experienced it myself, where God has brought a group of people around me and just loved me where I'm at and helped me to become a better version of myself. And I invite you to walk into that as well. I invite you to walk into a new possible.